Have you ever stood in front of a stone block that weighs 100 tons and wondered how it got there? Not with cranes, just rope and human hands. Strange, right? History textbooks tell us ancient people had only copper chisels and primitive tools. But when you see drill holes that can't be replicated with modern diamond bits, when you touch surfaces flat to a fraction of a millimeter, the official version starts to crack. Is it coincidence that similar precision shows up in Bolivia, Egypt, and Japan, separated by oceans and thousands of years? Today we're going through 7 of the most unsettling places on Earth. Get ready, because what you're about to see might shatter your understanding of human history. Our first stop is Indonesia. For centuries, locals climbed a hill called Gunung Padang to pray, believing it was just a sacred mound. Everything changed in 2010 when geologists arrived with ground-penetrating radar. The instruments showed something shocking. Hidden beneath the earth was a giant man-made structure. Radiocarbon dating gave a result that forced them to recalibrate everything. 20,000 years old, the Deep Ice Age, 15,000 years before the Egyptian pyramids. According to official science, people 20,000 years ago were simple hunter-gatherers in caves. They couldn't organize construction of this scale. Alternative history enthusiasts declared this proof of Atlantis or aliens, but reality turned out more terrifying. These stones are columnar basalts, formed when lava cools into perfect hexagonal columns. Nature cast the bricks, not aliens, but ancient people found this place and dragged thousands of these heavy columns to create terraces. Grandiose improvement of natural landscape. The mystery isn't about lasers, it's sociology. How were hunter-gatherers able to unite and work for centuries without kings? Planned construction lasting longer than any lifetime? In 20,000 BCE, humans were supposed to be wandering in small bands. Yet here they were, building, planning, coordinating thousands across centuries. That sustained effort requires what historians insist didn't exist: civilization. In Indonesia, people used what nature gave them. But in India, the builders didn't construct a mountain. They destroyed one. Welcome to Kailasa Temple. When you see this, your brain refuses to understand. Buildings are constructed bottom up. But here it's backwards. This 9-story temple wasn't built from blocks. It's entirely carved from one giant rock, top to bottom. Columns, halls, elephants, intricate carvings, all part of a monolith. Workers gouged out 200,000 tons of volcanic rock. Load that into freight cars, and the train stretches 40 kilometers. And they had no right to mistakes. Chip off an elephant's nose, and the entire temple is ruined forever. Official plaques say 18 years, 8th century CE. The math drives researchers insane. 30 tons removed every single day. No days off. No holidays. Many are certain this is impossible with pick and hammer. Ancient Indians had giant machines, directional sound, lasers from aliens. But one mistake, and centuries turned to dust. Imagine the pressure. Your grandfather worked on this. Your children will work on this. One careless moment erases generations. Engineers explained the secret: vertical excavation. Workers didn't lift stones. Gravity worked for them. Debris thrown down. Steel wedges driven into holes, then watered. Wood swelled and tore stone. The main resource was people. Thousands in shifts, turning rock into art. Yet something haunts engineers. The precision is too perfect. The symmetry too exact. The speed still feels wrong. 18 years? The numbers bend but never quite break. That's what makes it terrifying. This temple stood in plain sight for centuries, but our next discovery hid underwater until a diver found it looking for sharks. Japan, Yonaguni Island, 1986. Diving instructor Kihachiro Aratake plunged into these waters to observe hammerhead sharks. Instead, he saw something that took his breath away. A huge stone mass resembling a step pyramid. Perfectly flat terraces, right angles. 150 meters long, 40 meters wide. The world talked about Japanese Atlantis. The problem? This city is underwater. Ocean level was this low only during the Ice Age 10,000 years ago. If man-made, it predates Egyptian pyramids by 5,000 years. Supporters point to features too precise for nature. Carved faces, tool marks, circular holes drilled into rock. But geologists offer different explanation. Sandstone naturally fractures along straight lines when tectonic plates shift. Yonaguni sits on active fault line. Seismic activity and currents could carve shapes that look intentional. However, there's detail nature struggles to explain. Some stones have tool marks, grooves running in parallel lines, and those circular holes, perfectly round, perfectly uniform. Erosion creates irregular shapes. It doesn't drill. Marine geologist Masaki Kimura's conclusion sits in the middle. The formation is natural, but ancient people found it when sea levels were lower and modified it. Collaboration between nature and human hands. The truth is, we don't know. If it's natural, it's remarkable coincidence. If it's man-made, it rewrites the timeline. The ocean keeps secrets. Coastlines that were dry land 10,000 years ago are now drowned. Yonaguni might be the only one we found, or the first hint of dozens more. Our next site was hidden beneath the earth, discovered by a man who wanted to know where his chickens were going. Cappadocia, Turkey, 1963. A man in Derinkuyu faced a problem. His chickens kept disappearing into a crack in his basement wall. Frustrated, he struck the wall with a sledgehammer. The stone collapsed. Behind it, darkness, a tunnel leading into infinite depths. Imagine that moment. You swing a hammer. The wall opens into darkness that breathes cold air. You step inside. The tunnel goes down and down. What was discovered is Derinkuyu, the largest underground city in the world. 8 levels go down 85 meters, like a 30-story skyscraper inverted. Ground-penetrating radar shows there may be dozens more floors below. Over 20,000 people could live here with cattle and supplies. Kitchens, wells, wine cellars, stables, chapels, schools, ventilation shafts over 50 meters deep. The most frightening detail, the doors. Massive stone discs weighing several tons. They rolled into place to seal sections. Once closed from inside, nearly impossible to force from outside. Why build this? The answer is chilling. Cappadocia sits at a crossroads. For thousands of years, armies swept through. Hittites, Persians, Romans, Byzantines, Arabs, Mongols. Land above is indefensible. So people went down. Derinkuyu was dug over centuries, each generation adding chambers. When raiders came, population retreated underground, sealed doors, waited in darkness. Days, weeks, months. Standing inside today, with 85 meters of rock pressing above, the silence is absolute. No wind, no birds, no sunlight. It's survival. But there's something disturbing. For these people, going down and sealing themselves in stone tombs was the safest option. And Derinkuyu isn't unique. Dozens of underground cities in Cappadocia, some connected by tunnels stretching kilometers. While Cappadocia's people buried themselves alive, rulers of a Pacific island chose a different prison. They built their capital on water. Micronesia, Pohnpei Island. Off the shore lies one of the strangest cities ever constructed, Nan Madol. Nan Madol consists of 92 artificial islands on a coral reef, connected by canals, construction material. Basalt columns stacked horizontally, crisscrossed, creating walls. The columns weigh up to 50 tons, some 8 meters long. Nearest quarry is kilometers away. Moving multi-ton stones across water is incredibly difficult. Somehow, builders transported thousands of these columns, floated them to the reef, assembled them into a city covering 75 hectares. Local legend, the stones flew through the air. Twin sorcerers used magic to levitate the basalt. Reality is more disturbing. Researchers believe builders used rafts from lashed tree trunks. Basalt placed on top, rafts paddled across lagoon. Workers used levers, ramps, manpower to lift them 8 meters high. But here's the question. Why build a city on a reef? Nan Madol wasn't a trade hub. Remote, difficult to access, surrounded by water. No resources, no fresh water, no farmland. Everything had to be brought by boat. Why? The answer is cold as the stone. Control, Nan Madol was the Sodlur dynasty's seat. Built for elite. Chiefs, priests, nobles required to live on artificial islands. It looked like honor. It was a golden cage. Rulers controlled supply lines. If a noble grew too powerful, food shipments stopped. Fresh water dried up. Within days, they were at central authorities' mercy. Architecture enforced obedience. Canals were moats. Every island a prison disguised as palace. Today, Nan Madol is abandoned. Jungle reclaimed the islands, walls crumbling, basalt columns sinking. But standing among ruins, you still feel it. Weight of control, calculation behind every stone. If Nan Madol shows how rulers used stone to control people, our next site shows precision so perfect it shouldn't exist. Bolivia, Andean Plateau, 4,000 meters above sea level. Air so thin, every breath feels incomplete. This is Pumapunku, where rules of ancient construction stop making sense. The ruins don't look like typical stonework. No rough edges, no chisel marks. Stone blocks cut with precision that feels industrial. H-shaped andesite blocks, some over 130 tons. Surfaces so flat they could come from a CNC mill. Machined smooth. Engineers tested these surfaces. Deviation nearly zero. Flat to within a fraction of human hair. Corners perfect 90 degrees. Place a straight edge against stone, see no light beneath. Blocks have holes drilled through. Perfectly circular, perfectly uniform. As if someone used drill press with computer-guided template. Then the joints. Some blocks fit so tight you can't slide knife blade between. No mortar. Accuracy making seams almost invisible. This is andesite, one of Earth's hardest stones. Ranks just below diamond. Copper chisels can't cut andesite. They'd bend, break. So how? Official explanation. Stone hammers, sand abrasives, endless patience. Pounded andesite for weeks. Drilled holes by spinning hollow reed with sand. Experiments show this can work. Barely. Takes weeks for single hole. Months to flatten single surface. Scaling to 130-ton monoliths? Years per block, and there are hundreds of blocks. If each took years, thousands of workers needed, all trained to absurdly high standard. In 500 CE, at 4,000 meters altitude, with primitive tools, the math doesn't bend, It breaks. Alternative theories, advanced technology, laser cutters, ultrasonic drills. Counter-argument. Where's evidence? If advanced machines used, where are they? Technology leaves traces. Pumapunku has none. But here's what it does have. Blocks scattered as if builders interrupted, some half-finished. And transport is its own nightmare. Nearest quarry 10 kilometers away, across mountainous terrain. Moving a 130-ton block would require hundreds of workers, weeks of effort. Yet they did it. Again and again. Moving stones so heavy even modern cranes would struggle, then cutting them with precision rivaling modern manufacturing. Blocks are still there, scattered, eroding. But questions don't fade. Stone sits there, silent and perfect, mocking every explanation. If Pumapunku challenges our understanding of precision, our final discovery goes even further. Because here, the question isn't just how, it's why. Egypt, 1850. French archaeologist Auguste Mariette was walking through Saqqara when he noticed a sphinx head, half buried. He started digging. The sphinx led to another and another, a whole avenue stretching toward a sealed stone entrance. Getting inside required explosives. When the dust cleared and Mariette stepped into darkness, he entered a place that still haunts archaeologists, the Serapeum of Saqqara, a labyrinth of tunnels carved deep into bedrock. And inside, in niches along walls, were 24 massive sarcophagi. They're made of granite, black, red, gray. Each weighs between 70 and 100 tons. Lids alone weigh 30 tons. 4 meters long, 3 meters tall. Solid stone, polished to mirror finish. And when Mariette opened them, he found nothing inside. No mummies, no gold, no inscriptions, just empty space, perfectly smooth walls, darkness sealed for 3,000 years, and inside it, nothing. Why build a box that weighs 100 tons if there's nothing in it? Why polish the interior to optical precision if no one will see it? And how did they get these things down here? The tunnels are narrow, barely wide enough for 2 people. Ceilings low, no space to maneuver. Yet somehow, workers transported these colossal sarcophagi through winding corridors, turned them at right angles, lowered them into niches below floor level, placed 30-ton lids on top. Modern engineers shake their heads. Even with hydraulic jacks and laser measurement, moving a 100-ton object through confined spaces would be logistical nightmare. In ancient Egypt, with ropes and wooden levers and oil lamps, it shouldn't have been possible. Yet they did it. 24 times. And the precision. Engineer Christopher Dunn tested the surfaces. Walls flat to within fraction of millimeter. Corners perfect 90 degrees. This isn't rough stonework. This is machined. Accuracy you'd expect from modern factory, not copper chisels in underground darkness. And it's not just one box, it's all of them. Every sarcophagus shows same precision. Traditional explanation. These boxes held mummified apis bulls, sacred animals in ancient Egypt. But there are problems. No bull remains ever found inside granite sarcophagi. Some smaller chambers contained mummified bulls, but in simple wooden coffins. The granite ones? Empty. The boxes are too precise. If you're building tomb for bull, you don't need surfaces flat to fraction of millimeter. You need a box big enough. There are crude hieroglyphics scratched into some sarcophagi. Rough markings that look like graffiti compared to perfection of stone. As if someone found these boxes thousands of years later and tried to repurpose them. So if they weren't made for bulls, what were they for? Some researchers believe the boxes were technological devices, Granite contains quartz. Quartz is piezoelectric, generates electricity when compressed. Could sarcophagi have been part of energy system? Others suggest they preserved something far more important. Seeds, genetic material, knowledge. Granite would shield against radiation. Airtight seal would protect against decay. And the most unsettling theory. If the boxes were sealed and empty when discovered, maybe what was inside didn't die. Maybe it ascended or vanished. Maybe the emptiness isn't mystery. Maybe it's the answer. Maybe these weren't tombs. Maybe they were doorways. Egyptologists dismiss these theories, but they also don't have satisfying answer. The precision is unexplained. The effort is unexplained. The emptiness is unexplained. The Serapeum sits in Saqqara, mostly closed to tourists. The tunnels are hot, claustrophobic, oppressive. Standing next to one of the sarcophagi, you feel the weight of stone and mystery. Someone made this. Someone moved it. Someone sealed it. And someone found it empty. What were they trying to protect, or contain, or hide? The stone keeps its secrets, and in the darkness of the Serapeum, those secrets feel less like history and more like a warning. We've traveled an incredible distance. We saw a pyramid older than history. We carved a temple downward from a mountain. We dove beneath the ocean to touch stone that may or may not be a drowned city. We descended 85 meters underground to hide from a world too dangerous. We floated basalt across water to build prisons disguised as palaces. We cut stone with precision modern machines struggle to match. We stood in darkness beside empty boxes weighing 100 tons. These places don't prove aliens. They prove something more disturbing. We underestimate the past because it makes us feel superior. We look at ancient people and call them primitive because they didn't have electricity. But intelligence isn't measured by gadgets. It's measured by what you can achieve with what you have. The ancients had time. They had discipline. They had belief. And when those three align, humans can move mountains. Literally. But here's what we've lost. Not tools. Not knowledge. Patience. The willingness to work on something for decades knowing you won't see it finished. Building it anyway, because it matters more than any individual life. Looking at these ruins, we see ghosts of people who refused to accept limitations, who looked at a cliff and decided to carve a temple, who looked at a reef and decided to build a city, who looked at solid rock and decided to cut it with precision we still can't explain. They're gone now. Civilizations are mortal. All that remains is stone and questions we can't answer. What will we leave behind? In 1,000,000 years, when our cities are dust, what evidence will remain that we existed? Or will we vanish so completely that future intelligences will argue about whether we were even real? The stone doesn't care. It outlasts us all. It sits there, silent and patient, waiting for the next civilization to find it and ask the same questions we're asking now. If you watched to the end, thank you. It means a lot. Which of these places impressed you most? Leave your opinion in the comments, and if you want more stories like this, a like and a subscription help this channel grow.